Hello and welcome to Money Markets and More with me, Dominic Frisby, from the Box Spring Mountains of California. There they are in the background, just east of LA. We are in a place called Riverside, glowing golden in the evening sunset. There's Riverside in the background. I'm here visiting my mum, who lives here with her husband just up the road, and I thought while I was up here walking through these mountains I'd do a little video for you. Behind me you can see Sugarloaf Mountain, this one's called, and I'm going to attempt to climb it over the course of this interview. I'm just looking out there. Gosh, they look quite stunning in the background, those mountains. Quite a place. I hope there's no rattlesnakes here. And today's piece is all about distorted incentives, and it follows on from that Life After the State piece I did last week. I was listening to an interview with an entrepreneur called Balaji Srinivasan, I hope I've pronounced that right, in which he argued that there are two ways by which you can raise capital. One is through investment and the other is through charity. Now, if you're raising capital through investment, the emphasis is to demonstrate strength, ability, prowess, honesty, and many other such qualities. The more competence you demonstrate, the more likely it is that people are going to want to invest in you. And broadly speaking, you could say this applies to gaining employment too. On the other hand, if you're looking to appeal to people's charity, then the opposite applies. You must demonstrate that you need and deserve this charity. And so the incentive is to demonstrate weakness, affliction, victimhood, and so on. And many of these messages of affliction have made for some of the most powerful ad campaigns ever conducted. And I think young children and animals are probably the most evocative, from the starving Ethiopian children that inspired Live Aid to the battered seals of anti-fur campaigns. Now, welfare, and to an extent healthcare, can be seen as forms of charity, even education in a way. And in the 19th century, responsibility for the provision of welfare, healthcare, education mostly lay with the church and the friendly societies and other private bodies. But in the 20th century, for the most part, they became the domain of the state. And today there are countless institutions that rely on government subsidy for their existence, from those fighting climate change, which are incentivised to demonstrate how bad the climate situation is, to those promoting green energy, to those fighting perceived inequalities such as Stonewall, to many in the arts. And all rely on demonstrating affliction to fund themselves and exist. And meanwhile, charity has become an enormous business in the developed world, and all sorts of scandals are emerging of corruption, of the huge salaries many of those who work in it enjoy. They get paid lots and they get to be virtuous, and the fact that so little of the money donated actually reaches the intended recipients. Less than 50% is the key stat from the David Craig book, The Great Charity Scandal, what really happens to the billions we give to good causes. Now, some charities rely on donations and subscriptions. Many rely on the state and its subsidies, many rely on both. And of course, the industry is heavily regulated by the state with questionable results, if the above is to be believed. Regulation also costs a lot of money to adhere to. Now, as those who read my stuff or listen to me, especially Life After the State, will know, I constantly argue that the state is not the best means to provide these things to the highest possible standard at the lowest possible cost. And that in fact, for all its good intentions, and let's assume they're good, the state often causes more harm than good, and its role in exacerbating the health, wealth and opportunity gaps is demonstrable and large. And thus we should shrink the state as much as possible, because the state has grown so bloated in the West. And because sorry, I got a bit confused. I was looking down, looking for rattlesnakes and other things. Because it is the main provider of this second form of capital, charity, whether by subsidy or through its other systems, And because the solution to pretty much any social problem that arises is that the government must do something, I suggest we are getting caught up in an extremely unhealthy psychological loop. And rather than incentivising strength, competence, excellence and so on, our systems are incentivising behaviours by which that second form of capital can be raised. Weakness, victimhood and so on. And that's why there's so much of it about. New afflictions are being found all the time as entrepreneurial spirits try to find new means to secure special favour, protection and subsidy. And thus, by shrinking the state, do we shrink victimhood. Surely we want people to be the best they can be, not the opposite. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, please subscribe to my Substack. I'll be back with another video very soon from my travels, going all over the world. And I got cut off there, sorry. There is one other thing I wanted to mention, and that is on November the 23rd and November the 24th, I'm doing a gig, it's one of my comedy gigs, with the full band, the Gilets Jaunes, doing comedy songs at Piccadilly Circus in the West End at Brasserie ZL, Crazy Cox, the little room downstairs there. It's the most fantastic room for this type of stuff. It's a wonderful Art Deco place and it's going to be a fantastic night. I think November the 23rd is sold out, but if you're around on November the 24th, please come. I'll put a link in the description, and we will be in our investor prowess mindset rather than our weakness and affliction mindset. Until then, cheerio.